So Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Gonna be doing a little bit of Path of Exile tonight. Haven't played any since last week. The last time I was live on stream with it, so should be taking off at pretty much the same spot. Game's still really good. I've been kind of wanting to play some more, but playing some Pal World with some friends.
The New York Times, Rolling Stone, Los Angeles Times, and critics everywhere agree Better Man is utterly transformative.
That is massive.
Now with a 92% critic score and 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
You might want to frame that.
Better Man, rated R, in theaters everywhere Friday.
That spice is 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Hi, my name is Khadijah, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy
I love it when random.
It's just the right amount of heat, and it gets me excited.
Shit
and
plays
then
in the
pro tip,
background
add
for
that
no
cilantro lime sauce. It cools it down. If the sandwich is at 100, the cilantro lime takes it to 200. It makes me want to tell all my friends and family.
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe
Weird.
Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time.
Apparently my sub on Spotify has died. I thought I had a video playing in the background somewhere. It's weird.
Visit paleyfest.org to learn more.
Let's see if I can get that fixed real quick, because it's going to be annoying as shit. Only mildly annoying. Sorry about this, guys. That should fix that problem. Hey, Hinslet, how's it going? I keep calling you Hinslet when it's Hinsel, but... Yeah, it was actually kind of funny, Nell, that it was super loud like that, because it was extremely quiet on this end, but it's weird how that works out. But it should be fixed now. Had
How can I be of aid?
a bunch of credit cards expiring into the year. A lot of ours were December for some reason, so just had an expired card and hadn't updated it to the new information yet. So yeah, hopefully it will be no more super loud, annoying interruptions from Spotify. It's a BS name anyways. I've been playing Pal World all week and don't remember what half of the buttons in this game do. I'm like
My
trying to hit
wares
stuff,
are
keep
renowned.
trying to hit tab to open up my inventory, it's not working.
Goodbye. What?
Oops. It's another
Here for a
it's a
story.
necklace. Eh. Mana regen's probably better.
Stay inside.
Yeah, hopefully some updates will be coming in the near future. They just did a patch today, right before I logged in. I actually meant to check that out and see if they posted to see what the patch notes were. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is, there's a couple of cool little things here that they did. So they fixed a rare issue with Delirium, where some of the creatures, if you fought them before hitting the mirror, they could cause the mirror to pause in a weird way. They also added a 10-second pause to opening a strong box. It used to be 5 seconds. But this basically will negate the amount of time that it takes for creatures to start appearing from the box, which is nice. Yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit before there's anything huge. Yeah, time lost jewels, that's not really a big deal. Another bug where players change their maximum life, energy, shield, or mana. Their current life, energy, shield, or mana, overcapped mana or overcapped energy shield would also increase. That's interesting. I don't think any of this is really going to be that big of a deal though. Aftershocks from Rolling Slam were not dealing damage. That sounds like that'll be a nice fix. Ritual Altars used to have a chance to fail to activate, so it looks like that's fixed now. These are mostly just minor fixes to like some of the bosses that had weird issues. An issue where the precursor tablet modifier descriptions did not display when hovering over maps. Client crash when entering demon form. That's been a thing for a little while, from what I've heard. A PlayStation 5 crash, which is irrelevant to most people. But yeah, just mostly minor bug fixes, nothing really big. It was like a couple hundred meg update though, so I didn't know if it would get better or not. But yeah, no, there was not that much of great stuff there, unfortunately. But yeah, I would say it'll be a couple of weeks, if not a month or longer, before we start seeing substantial updates again to the game. Because I would say once they're completely back from holiday, they'll be spending time working with the content, that they were planning on working on next. Working on Acts 4, 5, and 6 potentially, or maybe they'll polish up mapping some. I don't really know which direction they're going to go with that. I've been kind of watching for, hopefully we would get a little developer video or something like that in the near future where, where they will kind of give us an idea of what the plan is. Yeah, I mean, I personally wish they would kind of like let balancing go a little bit and just work on getting the new content finished up, because I mean, things are going to be weird for a little while anyways. It's like, I like it better when they're doing balancing patches. If they would do that stuff, I guess if they would do that stuff, getting attacked and didn't even hear it because my sound's low. I kind of wish they would save that kind of stuff for, going between the seasons. I'm not a big fan of companies making big sweeping balancing changes. Now, it's like if they want to buff a class because it's not performing well, that's cool. Because it's always lame to have underperforming classes, of course, but I don't like it when they start to nerf stuff when you've already been playing the class. It's like, if something needs to be nerfed badly, you probably should have noticed that before you release the season. And then, if it's not a huge issue, then you should probably just let the nerfing go until the next season starts. So I don't know if they're planning on doing multiple seasons during the early access. It kind of makes me wonder if they will, though, just simply because they have new content that they need to add, like Acts 4, 5, and 6. How are they going to put that in for players to test if they're planning on doing it during early access without resetting everyone's level, which would most easily be done by just doing a new season. Yeah, getting the end game a little more polished. I mean, I really enjoyed it when I first got into doing it, but it seems kind of, I'm not really enjoying the end game as much right now as I did in Path of Exile 1, because it just seems like there's too much randomness involved in it. I've done well over 100 maps at this point. I have still never located a citadel, so like I have no chance of doing the in-game pinnacle boss right now, because I can't find the 3 buildings that you have to find in order to be able to get the runes from them to summon or to get access to the boss's room. So like that's a really big kind of frustrating thing for me right now, is the way that they place those citadels seems to be very random, and some people potentially just like me will get completely screwed and not be able to find them. So it's like they need to have some sort of a system where, like, I'm fine with them being being a little bit of randomness to them, just so it's not exactly the same thing every time. But after you do X amount of maps, if you haven't found one, it should mark it on your world map so you know which direction to go. Because yeah, not like you look at people like like Elon Musk was doing some play with the game, and he was going in and doing the pinnacle boss weeks ago. Now, I don't know if he actually purchased the key pieces, because I know those are supposed to be tradable. So I don't know if he purchased those and went and did the boss, or if he actually went and found the citadels. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of back and forth about the comfort level of playing an early access game. It's like, for the most part, I'm actually pretty anti-early access games at this point. You know, some companies do it well, but then other companies do it really poorly. In my opinion, early access should be the kind of thing where your game is pretty much done and you're just kind of wanting to, you know, iron out some issues and stuff like that with it. It's like, if you need to do more than that, you shouldn't call it early access. You should call it alpha or beta. And, you know, because that's the problem with early access. You know, like in old school development, you know, generally you had a friends and family pre-alpha kind of thing that was all pretty much completely internal, and then you would have an alpha test that would invite people from, you know, outside of the company and outside of family that could get in and play, and then you would have a beta test where you could get in and play, and these things had, you know, various steps to them. Like, you know, you understood that pre-alpha was going to be very bare bones. You know, you may not have all the zones, you may not have all the classes, you may not have all of the mechanics and everything else in there. And then when you got into alpha, it's like, well, alpha is pretty much the finished product. You know, it just needs a lot of balancing, a lot of polish, and, you know, maybe you're still adding some, you know, some art and stuff like that, but all of your zones and stuff are kind of done. And then when you get into beta, it's like, this is basically the 100% finished game, and we're just play testing all the classes and all the mechanics and stuff to make sure that nothing's really broken, and, you know, fixing any last minute bugs. But, you know, there was a process to what that stuff meant. And now that companies are getting into this early access concept, there is no measure of time or what position the game is in. So it's like, you know, you could be spending $30 to get a game that is essentially, you know, 10 years away from being completed, or you could pay $30 and get a game that'll be complete in a month and a half. And I'm really against that concept, because I think it's very misleading for people buying the game. And, you know, you kind of expect that if you're going to be playing a game, it needs to be in some pretty reasonable, you know, format for playing. You know, it shouldn't have a shit ton of bugs in it, and, you know, things like that, if you're selling your game, essentially. Because also back in the day, most of the things like betas and stuff like that were free. Like, you had to apply to get into them. You were expected to help playtest, and, you know, you had some responsibilities to kind of do, but you weren't paying for the game to do that. But you know, and you know, thankfully Grinding Gears has done a pretty good job at having a pretty you know, a pretty playable game without a whole lot of issues, and that's great. But like I said, I've been playing Pal World for the past week, and that game is an absolute just dumpster fire of broken stuff. It seems like every time they add a patch, they break more stuff than they actually add, like existing things that are in the game. It's not like they're adding new things that are broken. You know, like, this is aside from that. So this is the new things that they've added have broken old things in addition to the new things also being broken. So they have very little internal testing and, you know, things like that. It just makes the gameplay just really not fun, and it gets extremely aggravating to play the game. And that's kind of where my argument's coming from, is you don't know from one game to the next whether or not you're going to get something that's even reasonably playable. But almost everyone is going to buy it, and then you're just going to be stuck with a crappy game for, you know, however long. I mean, take 7 Days to Die, for example. They finally allegedly claimed that they came out of early access and are official launch now, but that game was in early access for 10 years. 10 years that game lived in early access, and it's like, I mean, there really needs to be some sort of stipulation on what point your game is at before you're allowed to go into an early access. You shouldn't be able to go in and just make money off of a game that's not even remotely close to being finished. I mean, 10 years for early access is absurd. I personally think even a year in early access is pretty absurd. But, you know, at least if you have a company that says something about it ahead of time, you know, like Grinding Gears was pretty open about the fact that, you know, hey, this is going to be early access and it's probably going to be 6 months to a year before we launch. And, you know, so they told you ahead of time what you were getting into, and, you know, they're gonna work diligently to keep it as close to that time frame as they reasonably can. You know, excluding unforeseen issues and stuff like that. But you know, some of these other companies just take it a little too far. I mean, I agree that, I mean, that's kind of the double-edged sword. I mean, I'm in the process of building a game right now myself that I will launch on Steam at some point. And, you know, but it's one of those things, it's like, I don't necessarily, it's like if you need funding for your game, you need to do it with some other way other than your players. You know, like you need to do a Kickstarter campaign. Or you need to, you know, seek out a publisher and try to get funding that way, or get some private funding. You know, that's the standard way that most games do it. And oh, sorry, yeah, I keep forgetting that. So what Hinzel is saying is, he says it's complicated because sometimes. You know, these companies need the funding in order to be able to, you know, get their game going and, you know, and actually get development going through the cycle on it. You know, they need some kind of a funding to be able to pay the people that they're doing for the game to ever, you know, kind of get out of its infancy. But it's one of those things where I feel like, I mean, what would you do, for example, let's just say, you know, Chevrolet, for example, decides that they want to come out with a new car, but they can't afford to make the new car, so then they start just selling the car to people, and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, we'll add the brakes later. You know, the steering's kind of wonky when you try to turn the steering wheel. Maybe it'll turn, maybe it won't. You know, it's like I think when you start asking people for money for a product, the product should be in a pretty reasonable state for what it is that you're selling it for, because it causes a lot of bad press for the game. Like I said, once again, Grinding Gears has done a pretty good job with Path of Exile, but other games that do this, when you do early access, tons of people buy in, and it creates a lot of FOMO, and it creates a lot of issues with like survival games are the big one that kind of stick out for me that do this a lot. A lot of survival games will do early access, and they will launch their game. Well, with most survival games, you want to be in from the beginning, because that's when all the brand new servers are going up. That's when all your friends are getting into it. That's when everybody's learning the game. And a lot of these games are either cooperative play or competitive play. And when your game is really bad, it causes a lot of issues with people being very upset with it and things like that, but people will still buy into it because they want to get into it when their friends are getting into it, and they don't want to be left behind. So like those sort of things, it's kind of a delicate balance, in my opinion, between getting the funding for the game and then, you know, releasing a game that's at a specific point in play. I mean, and I would even be better with it if, you know, if games that came out were like, well, hey, you know, the game's not really done yet, but because we did early access, we're going to focus on bugs. So we'll add some new content, and if it breaks a bunch of stuff, then we'll get all those bugs fixed before we launch more new content. Because at the end of the day, you know, you've now introduced players to your game, so, you know, there are people that are depending on that game to be playable and to, you know, to be able to do things with their friends, and, you know, they put an investment into it. It's like, you know, at this point, you've now gotten other people involved, that the way that, you know, like, because most players look at it, you know, if you look at the average player and you look at how people react, I mean, even with Path of Exile, the amount of people that are just losing their shit because some random thing is broken in the game. People don't look at early access as, oh, hey, I'm doing this to support the developer in the game. They look at it as, I'm bored as shit and I want a new game to play, and this one just came out and everyone's playing it, so I'm going to go play that. They don't look at it, you know, at early access for what it is. And I've played in a lot of betas, you know, back in the day. I played in betas for some of the WoW expansions. I played in beta for, you know, like old school EverQuest. I played in beta for Ultima Online. So I've done a lot of actual betas back in the day. and they never had the kind of problems that games are having because of early access these days. And I think a lot of it, like there's a huge thing going down right now with Ashes of Creation. I don't know if you followed that any or not, Hinsel, but there's been a whole lot of issues with Ashes of Creation. Asmongold's been doing a lot of coverage on that here recently. It's just I think the majority of that is because they aren't prepared to be dealing with the public at the point that they are in their game. And it's like, you know, if you're not willing to deal with the public, or you don't know how to do it yet, maybe you probably shouldn't be putting your game in early access just yet. You know, there's a lot of games that, you know, have done crowdfunding and stuff like that in the past. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is an example of that currently. They were doing an actual you know, alpha, beta, you know, like they started with pre-alpha. I got involved with the pre-alpha Pantheon years ago. I mean, it was back before COVID hit, actually. And they're still in their early access phase right now. But you know, they did all of their funding by putting together vertical slices of the game and then taking it and trying to get, you know, big time investors. And then they started allowing people to pay large price tags for, you know, getting pre-alpha access. So it's like, oh, you want to get in and check the game out now? Well, if you're doing this, you're doing it because you're trying to support the game. You know, like the minimum buy-in was several $100s, and the nicer buy-in packages were, you know, as much as $10,000. So you're not getting, you know, every single little kid that's just wanting to play a new game, or, you know, people that don't understand what, you know, what early access or alpha beta is. They're not buying into that game at $1,000. You know, like that's just not happening. And it kind of gets rid of the need to deal with the public. And that game's doing perfectly fine with its funding currently. I don't know if the game is necessarily going in a great direction anymore, to be honest, but that was because the lead developer of it passed away back in COVID. So they've significantly changed the way, you know, the direction that their game is going, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see how that continues to go on in the future. I actually plan on doing some Pantheon Rise of the Fallen streams, just so people can kind of see it and see what they think about it. I know a lot of the people that watch the video are or watch my streams are, you know, kind of big into MMOs and stuff, because that's kind of where a lot of my audience started from. You know, a huge portion of my audience is actually my old raid team from World of Warcraft. So.
Fall before me.
Yeah, I hope they do well. Yeah, so Hinsel says that they aren't into survival games in general, and that there's a lot of bloat with survival games and co-op horror games, and I definitely agree with that. Hey, I got a phone call, guys. Give me just a moment here. I need to take this, unfortunately. All right. Sorry about that. It's a client calling about some PC repair issues. So don't normally have calls like that this late, but this was an exception.
Will of the Marrakesh.
Yeah, I think we talked about Project Zomboid in a stream recently, didn't we? Wasn't it a couple few days ago? Hey, Honey Buzz, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Valheim's another one of those games that, you know, like that I was talking about, that it's been in early access for far too long. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Valheim came out, wasn't it right around COVID, maybe a little after or something along those lines? I mean, those guys made a buttload of money, and you know, like, and this is where some of my argument comes in. This is another problem that I have with early access, because you don't know what's actually happening. But I mean, the guys that made Valheim, those guys made an insane amount of money. Like, their opening week was something like $40 million, and it was 4 guys that made the game originally. And I'm trying to recall this from information that I had read back in the day. So these numbers could be slightly off, but I'm pretty sure it was 4 guys that comprised the original team that made the game. And their opening week, they made $40 million, which is roughly $10 million per person. And, you know, so my concern there is early access got them a buttload of money. What is their, you know, like, they have no rush to finish the game. They've already made a fortune off of it. I mean, you know, if you created a game and launched it and you woke up the next day and had $10 million in your bank account, I mean, what's your motivation to finish the game at that point? I mean, they're under no obligation to finish. So, you know, like, and so that's where some of my argument comes from, that stuff too, is when companies can get that level of funding by doing early access, then they're like, oh, well, people really love this game, and, you know, like, they're pretty happy with it in the state that it's in, and then they just kind of leave it that way and don't do much with it. You know, and that's where some of the problems coming from. It's like, people bought into Valheim and it went nuts because of what Valheim represented, what it could have become. And it's like, well, what, you know, like, people kept buying into the game because they were expecting all of the new stuff that would be coming. And we're, what, like 5 years since the game has come out? It's like, you guys made $40 million. Why didn't you hire on a couple of more software developers and start pushing this content faster? I think they even came out with, you know, with stuff from the beginning saying that they had the game lined out for what exactly it was that they wanted to do. Like, they didn't have the time with only 4 people originally to get everything done that they wanted to do, and that I understand. But it's like, once you make $40 million, you can pay some people to come in and finish your game, you know, and to help kind of get it up to date. And if you guys already had the roadmap for what it was you wanted to do, adding some more developers on, you could churn through that content pretty quickly and, you know, start getting some stuff out there for people to test and, you know, kind of play with. So, you know, like that's where another point of argument from early access comes from as well. It seems as more the pressure of needing to achieve something. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much pressure these companies really feel once they've started making their money. I mean, especially being like, you know, because early access, you know, this was an indie dev. This wasn't somebody like Activision. You know, like, they may be happy with the amount of money that they've made. You know, $10 million for someone that has never seen that kind of money before. I mean, even if you're a software developer making $150K a year working for a company, and you just decide to make a game and you launch it and you go to bed, the next day you wake up, you have $10 million, you essentially would never have to work again. Like you now have created yourself enough money that you would never have to be employed again in the future. And that's where some of the scary part about early access comes from. It's like if it's a big corporation, they're probably going to make sure that their game gets done. Like Grinding Gears is a company that is here. They've made more than one game at this point, you know, and I'm not concerned with them ever not finishing their title. But another company like Pal World, for example, I mean, they're kind of notorious for making games that aren't really well polished and don't really get a lot of finish, and there's a lot of companies out there that do that. The company that made Sengoku Dynasty, for example, they have like 15 different games, and none of them have great polish or have ever really hit a finished state, but they just keep coming out with more games, and they keep putting them in early access, and they just never really finish them. I mean, those are getting to the point now to where people don't really buy their games as much anymore, because they've realized, hey, when the game launches, this is probably all it's getting. Like, they'll probably never come out of early access, and people are, you know, buying their games less and less. And that is one nice thing, is that, you know, at least people are voting with their wallet a little bit. But look how long it took and how much money that company has made making these, you know, half-baked games that they put in early access. Like, I feel it's one of those things that it's really anti-consumer, and I think something should be done about it. Is really just kind of where I'm going. Like, because the companies that are doing it, like I said, like Grinding Gears, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to make this game work, because they know what makes games make money, and they know they can make a buttload more money by having the game actually functioning correctly. But some of these other smaller companies don't know that. And then look at all the games that are just like vaporware that never came out, you know, that got all kinds of people buying into them. And then you have stuff like Star Citizen, which I still just don't know about that game. I still feel like it's kind of a giant joke, and that they may never achieve what it is that they're going after. And that game has made more money than some countries have. I mean, it is an absurd amount of money that game has. And it's like, I know they've done some, you know, a lot more with it here recently than what they have, but it's, once again, it's like, you know, once you start approaching the $1 billion marker for investing, you should be able to have a lot more on your game than what they have for that game right now. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Steam is really the only one. You know, Steam and the Epic Store and the, you know, the Windows Store and things like that. Those are really the only places that can make something change about how early access titles are done. You know, like putting a limiter on it, saying, hey, if you're launching your game in early access, you know, your game needs to be within a year from launch. You know, you can have a total setback of, you know, 6 months or, you know, 18 months or something like that if things go sideways. But if you launch your game into early access, here is the rate at which it needs to be released, or we're going to pull your game from the market, or you're going to get a massive fine. You know, one of the two, maybe even both, just to stop people from essentially trying to launch vaporware and claim that it's, you know, it's early access. That's true, yeah. There is a cap. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's really a cap to what money can provide for a game or not. I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of money that you have. But, you know, it's whenever you're developing a game, I mean, we've seen games played with, or like tons of games that have been developed these days and what people are playing. It's like, unless you're trying to do something that's insanely cutting edge, there's really nothing that can't be purchased. I mean, like if you're having a hard time making content, then you can, you know, you can hire content developers. If you're having a hard time making something work on the back end, you can hire, you know, like database people, or you can hire, you know, programmers. If you're having story writing problems, you can hire, you know, story writers. It's like pretty much anything that you want to make a game. I mean, if I had a couple of $1 million right now, within, you know, 20 months or so, I could have my game completely out on the market. I know exactly what I want the game to do. I know exactly what needs to be done to make it happen. And my biggest problem right now is it's myself and my wife working on it. You know, she does art assets and I do everything else. And, you know, that's very time consuming. And, it, you know, in my opinion, I would argue that it's a little harder in some cases than not, for the simple fact that I'm the only programmer. So if I get stuck and I don't know how to make something work, I don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of. I can't go to another programmer that's working on the game and say, hey, you know, I'm trying to do this thing, and these are all the things that I've tried, and I'm just like locked down. I don't know what to do next. You know, when I get stuck on something, I've had to go and do as much as 3 or 4 weeks worth of research to find something that is remotely similar to what I'm doing, to be able to understand how to fix the problem that I'm having. But it's like, you know, if I had enough money to just pay for you know, someone else that has been developing games for years and just understands where problems come from, and, you know, are a little more experienced at what they're doing than I am, then, you know, that would solve all of those problems. So I don't know how much you could say that there's only so much money could do for software development. Like I said, if you're trying to do something completely cutting edge that's never been done before, yeah, I would say money, you know, you're going to find a limit before the money is the limit. I mean, honestly, I mean, look at what people did with Valheim, and they had 4 people to do that. So, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of developers. I mean, and then look at games like, what is it, Rainbow Six, which one is it, Siege, Rainbow Six Siege. I've heard Asmongold talking about this a lot lately. I haven't been following the game, but they apparently have like 20,000 developers working on that title. So it's, you know, it's like if you could take a shit ton of people and just be like, hey, I need you guys to develop a whole bunch of, you know, of assets for the game so that we can get a new stage out, or get a couple of new stages out, or, you know, something along those lines. It's like that would, you know, that would go okay. God, I hate these fucking minion. Like, this is something that they really need to fix in this game, is having these rares that have minions, and you can't outrange the res. Like, this is ridiculous. So I just have these 5 dudes chasing me that in most cases, like, these guys are faster than I am. I can't do anything to stop them. They're unstoppable. And yeah, I'm gonna die probably right here. And it's all because of not being able to get to the rare, because these guys are just body blocking like crazy, and I can't get in to kill the rare. Yeah, I'm out of healing. Like, I literally can't do anything else here. It's like, that's just busted. What do you fucking do there? I mean, I can do nothing to kill that guy. And every single time that you have a dude like this, they always have these insanely ultra fast fucking enemies, and they res instantly. So the moment you kill them, they instantly stand back up. Oh yeah, so if you look at Hensel is saying if you look at the biggest gaming budgets, over 50% of it went to marketing, not even the game itself. That is 100% accurate, and I think the game would have done a lot better if they would have put 80% of that marketing budget into finishing their game. Because that's the big problem, you know, like that you can't necessarily just look at a game that's been successful, and the success is measured in different aspects. So you can't just look at that and go, oh, well, this game was successful and this is how it was done. I mean, their marketing, it's very obvious by looking at their marketing budget that they can make more money by basically filling your head with a bunch of bullshit and having an incomplete game that's really not that great. I mean, a prime example would be, look at the past, look at the history of Assassin's Creed, for example. It's like the first Assassin's Creed game was new and unique, and it was different. I mean, everything about it was things we had not seen before, and it was a phenomenal game. It didn't have a massive budget. It didn't have a massive development team that was on it. I mean, you know, and by saying massive, I mean they didn't have a 20,000 person development team on that game, and that game did exceedingly well. And then every game that they made after that was basically just a cookie cutter of that game. Like, they basically just threw a slightly different skin on it and then resold you the same game. There was really nothing new or evolutionary or revolutionary about what they were doing. They just kind of gave you the same game again, and, you know, people just kept buying it. And that was all because of their marketing team. Like, you know, the amount of marketing, that getting people hyped up, you know, for these games. I mean, and it goes even deeper than that. You know, the crazy part about it is not only is it just the marketing team in general that are, you know, making commercials and, you know, putting stuff out there on, you know, YouTube or on, you know, whatever social media, talking about it, trying to drum up the business. I think I had said before that I used to be a manager for GameStop, and that was one of the things that was really interesting as well. Is not only was that particular company putting in investment time, you know, for their marketing team, so was GameStop. GameStop wants to make a lot of money, so when they have a new game coming out, they have a whole lot of marketing and stuff that goes up specifically for that game. You know, so they're trying to push the sales as well. So, you know, it was kind of multifaceted on the, you know, the amount of money that was being spent on some of these new games coming out. And a lot of it, you know, or I shouldn't say a lot of it, but a portion of it was money that was being spent not even by the, you know, the developing company or their you know, their what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, sometimes playing games and talking at the same time is difficult. Their publisher. Sometimes it's you know, it's not necessarily the publisher that's always spending every bit of the money on, you know, on the game that's coming out and the amount of marketing that's going into it. Sometimes other companies are kind of flipping the bill because they have something to gain from it as well, like GameStop, for example. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that game was successful. It means that it had good sales, and, you know, in a sales system, it was a successful game. But as far as being a good game, you know, there were a lot of people that really just weren't interested in playing any more Assassin's Creed because they were the exact same game. And, you know, and finally they kind of took that in a little bit and realized that their sales were going down, and then they completely changed the formula for Assassin's Creed, went to the you know, the complete action system that they had. They got away from the old parry style, you know, counterattack system, and they went for, you know, more like a Dark Souls kind of style for gameplay, a lot more fast paced. And that was received really well. The first game, I think it was Assassin's Creed Origins, I mean, that got a lot of love. But then they made, what, like four or five more Assassin's Creeds after that were just cookie cutters of that one. So, you know, they kind of were just selling you glorified expansions, you know, arguably. Oh, whoops, wrong button. So, you know, so that's kind of what I was talking about as far as trying to determine whether or not the game was successful. It's like, you can make a lot of money on a game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the game was good. That just means you had a really good marketing team. So, you know, it's like games will generally sell themselves if they were good. I mean, a perfect example of that was Borderlands, the first Borderlands. That game was a sleeper. When the first Borderlands came out, they had basically no marketing whatsoever. Even when I was working at GameStop at the time, and no one had heard of it. No one knew anything about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so no one had heard of the first Borderlands at all, and it was a great game. It ended up being phenomenal. It was a fresh new take on, you know, games on the kind of, you know, it was kind of like the Diablo concept, but in a first person, you know, shooter instead of a, you know, a isometric ARPG type of style, but it gave you that looter shooter feel, and it was just a phenomenal sleeper. And then the second one was just, in my opinion, it was kind of garbage. It's like, I think that Borderlands 2 and every Borderlands after that has failed to deliver what made the first Borderlands so great. But yeah, that's you know, that's just another one of those things where it was like the second one was all their marketing team, the first one was all their designers. I gotta figure out how to get some more defenses for this character. I need like a lot more energy shield. Actually, I'm really surprised that I'm almost leveled again, and I still haven't even spent the last talent point. The first one's good, but a bit basic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was very basic. It was great when it came out. Like, it didn't age well. It doesn't hold up to today's standards at all. But, you know, if you got into it when it first came out, yeah, it was a really good game.
Of the Marrakech.
VHs, sorry, you'll have to elaborate a little bit more there.
Didn't break a sweat. I'm carrying enough already.
Oh, Vault Hunters, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the character development was not great in the first one, but I mean, it was just one of those things where it was like it was an indie company essentially that made it. I don't think they had really made much else. I don't know. Maybe they weren't necessarily indie. Maybe they might have had a publisher and I just don't remember. It's been a long time, but I'm thinking they were kind of indie when they did the initial one, and then they started getting big, you know, pretty quickly, and Gearbox became a pretty common household name at that point for gamers. But yeah, I mean, that was one of those where they spent a whole lot of money on marketing for the later ones, and I really feel like the later versions of Borderlands were more of a cash grab than actually trying to make a good game. Because, like, you know, the first one I could let them go with it not being amazing because it was the first time that they had done it. There wasn't really anything else out there that really did that, so they kind of invented a little bit of a genre there. And I'm perfectly fine with that one being a little bare bones. but they should have spent a lot more time with the second one, and really kind of gave it a little more juice and did a little bit more with it. The things that they couldn't afford to do the first time around because they didn't have the funding. It's like the first one sold really well, and it sold by word of mouth. It didn't sell because they had a great marketing team. It sold because it was a good game. So yeah, it was a little disappointing that when the second one came out, they didn't really put that much more time into development or iterating over the the Vault Hunters, or how the game was played. Like the gameplay loop was pretty much identical in the second one, which was it was very rudimentary in the first one, but like I said, it was a brand new, basically a brand new genre, and they were kind of inventing something new there. So it's like I can let them slide on that, and not be upset about it. But the second one should have been much better. They should have kind of fleshed out what the Vault Hunters were like, kind of improved the gameplay loop a lot. I mean, a lot of people like Borderlands 2. I was not a big fan of it, but a lot of people really did like it.
But that makes you predictable.
I thought the best thing that the second one had going for it was Handsome Jack. Like, it was just funny, like the shit that they would get him to say. It's like there's nothing more hilarious than Butt Stallion. This lightning build's kind of cool, but it really just does not do real super well with bosses. I would have liked to have seen this when Cast on Shock was actually good still, before they nerfed it.
Jamandra will pay for raising the Defiler.
Yeah, Nell, that's right. He was the one with Butt Stallion. See, I actually really enjoyed, he was the last character that I played, because I didn't think I would enjoy him at all. But the one that I enjoyed the most was Brick from the first game. think going up there is probably going to be a good way to go. A lot of elemental damage in this tree, or in this section of the tree here. I think I'll go up and hit this and collect up all of this section, see if I can't get some more damage out of this build. Was Krieg the Gunzerker? I can't remember which one he was. Or was he the big melee guy that was basically like one of the bad guys? The Psycho, yeah, okay. I couldn't remember. I don't remember if I actually played him or not.
What? Tell your tale.
Need something? Browse as long as you like. All right. Sans guides you.
Oh, you could set yourself on fire to get buffs. That's actually pretty funny. Well, he was a standalone DLC too, wasn't he? He wasn't like part of one of the expansions, because I actually played through and did all of the expansions in that game, but I don't recall playing as that character. I was kind of wanting to think he was standalone. Yeah, sounds good. See you when you get back.
The Ferryden, as we speak.
We will have our justice.
Oh, look at that. It's Dreadnought time.
We now have.
Did I finish everything in that last place? Yeah. I didn't get whatever the shifting vases was, but I don't really care about that, to be honest. Trial of Ascendancy, I'm not concerned with that right now. What am I right now? 33. Well, okay. I should probably consider going to get the trial done and get my first Ascendancy. I don't know how big Ascendancy is
Ready
for this.
yourself. We must prevail. No matter
The
what.
Faradon will fall.
Could be pretty huge. I haven't actually looked into it.
Give no quarter! No mercy! Die, scum!
One bad thing about these little hallways, like these little, what you can call these things, little bridges, I guess. They make it really difficult for the arc to travel across. Let's blow up the corpses. It's actually kind of funny. I know Diablo was always really big about having followers for some reason, and they kind of doubled down on that with the Diablo 4 expansion. Brought back the follower system from Diablo 2. That's like, I thought that was one of the lamest things from Diablo 2 is the followers. It's like they basically did nothing for you. I don't know if the play style of this will change later, but I'm not a big fan of having to drop this orb of storms all over the place. Like it takes too long to get the orb out for it just doesn't really seem to increase the amount of damage you're doing that significantly. My build still isn't great. My gear is trash right now, so I'm sure it will get better as time continues to go. That may be part of where some of my problems are coming from. Just used to playing an in-game where I have a bunch of really nice pieces of gear, and it's just really hard to get anything worth having at this level. Whoa! Something started going nuts with corpse exploding. That's another thing that I'm not enjoying about some of these other classes is it's like just corpse explosion is just Jesus, man. Yeah, okay, I got it. I don't like how things respawn when you die. Like, I forget about that constantly because I'm not used to actually dying in this game. Yeah, those corpse explosions are just fucking broke as shit. It's like one of them took over a third of my fucking health and they can just sit there and spam that shit. Check out some of the builds on Path of Building and see what those are looking like. It's like Max Roll is kind of nice because they have a whole bunch of games in the same place, but the problem you run into there is you don't know if the people that are designing the builds are any good. Whereas if you go to like Path of Building and you get stuff from for them, it's like that's all Path of Exile stuff, so generally their builds are really good. So I know the guy that did a lot of the Diablo building, I think his name was like Wudijo or something like that. He did a lot of assassin builds for Diablo. And he had some good ones for the Spiritborn as well, but he, I saw just recently he started playing Path of Exile 2, I guess trying to get out of Diablo being his primary form of getting people to watch. but his builds for this game are not looking anywhere near as good as his builds for Diablo were. So. I don't know how much experience he actually has playing Path of Exile. See that corpse exploder up there? It's actually really funny when I first started playing the ArcSorc, which was, you know, I think it was still in week 1 of the EA. I thought Orb of Storms was actually a damage dealing. Like I was just dropping it, trying to run enemies through it. Like I didn't realize that that you wanted to stand near it and cast. That it was increasing the amount of bolts and stuff that you're getting casting, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I think they really need to limit the range of some of these enemies' skills. I think that would be a big change for the game. It's like like when I was moving up here, something on up this started exploding corpses way back here. It's like they're off-screen exploding corpses. Yeah, there's a guy right there. It's like, why is he exploding corpses that he can't even see? So they need to limit how limit how far away that rares can res their minions. And then they basically just need to limit how far away these NPCs can cast spells. Like you shouldn't be able to res minions that are, 10 screens away. Yeah, it would be nice if they would buff some of the existing classes, because there's definitely some issues there. I don't know how good they ended up being. I know that it sounded like the warrior build was pretty crappy early on. Yeah. Yeah, I know Warfriend, one of the other guys that watches on stream or on Twitch, he was playing that build early on. And he said he got to a point in maps where he felt like the Witch Hunter just kind of got limited, like he couldn't really clear well anymore. And he said he felt like he hit a little bit of a bottleneck with the class. And that's never fun when you get that. Path of Exile 1 was rife with that kind of stuff as well. Like most of their minion builds in Path of Exile 1 went that way. Like they played really well through the campaign and all the way up through like tier 5 maps, and then they would just slowly get worse and worse as you got deeper into maps. right now. And just not really taking damage either. Yeah, I wish they would put in just like like I said, I think I mentioned this in the last stream that I played this game on as well, but I kind of wish that once you got to mapping, they would give you a free respec no matter what class you're playing. It's like you just hit a button and reset all of your passive skill tree. Because it's like there's so many builds where you don't do anything the same way when you get to mapping. Like you have to have a different build in order to make maps work right. And forcing people to have to spend their gold and stuff and respec one node at a time. It's like it's just kind of annoying. It's like one node at a time. Respecing is okay if you want to make minor tweaks to your build and stuff, but when you need to redo the whole thing because you got the mapping, it's not a fun experience. They just need to make that go away. Love to get one more level before I got to the boss at the end, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Stop pushing me around the fucking map. That's a really annoying aspect still that they need to get rid of. Like sometimes you'll just get caught on an enemy and it'll push you forever, like all the way to the edge of the screen, and it's like, come on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, getting some of the bloat out of the game, out of Path of Exile in general would be nice. Yeah, I think this node right here is going to be pretty huge for me. 30% increased elemental damage, since everything I do is elemental. And then 5 to all resist would be really nice as well. But again, these little 10-point ticks as I'm going around the tree as well is good. Yeah, that'll be nice also. That'll be a big jump in damage. Alright, I have gone over my time for getting rid of pre-rolls, so I will be back in just a few minutes. I'm gonna run some pre-rolls, or run some ads for Twitch, and run to the restroom and stretch my legs and stuff while that's going on. So it'll be 2 or 3 minutes and I'll be right back.
before me. Die forgotten.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, headset turned off on me again, didn't notice it. Yep. Yeah, the mic was muted. Well, it wasn't muted, it shut itself off. It'll do that if it detects no noise for very long, and it's, unfortunately, it's like less than 3 minutes. And if I don't happen to look at the cradle that the mic sets on, if I don't happen to look at that when I come back and it shut itself off, I don't know. I just unmute myself and then go to start talking, and then Nell has to message me and be like, "We can't hear you, moron." Yeah, basically what I was saying was I've noticed that when playing this character, I run into a lot of enemies that are resistant to lightning. And when I was playing the witch, that I basically never saw enemies that were resistant. Like, it just didn't seem to be like something I would see regularly. Now there is a small argument that maybe I just didn't notice them because lightning resist against a witch doesn't do anything, and the enemies were just dying really fast, and I'm noticing them more now because they, this stuff lives forever because it's resistant. But yeah, I kind of wonder if they don't have like a dynamic kind of negative system to where, where I'm playing lightning, if it doesn't show me, like if I don't run into more things that are lightning resist. So maybe certain types of negatives can't be seen on certain like depending on what kind of build you're using or things along those lines. Because I don't really ever see fire resist enemies, but I see tons of lightning resist enemies. So that's what makes me think that. I've also noticed some weird things when playing through the game. Excuse me. Where it seems like certain parts in the axe drop gear better than other parts. I don't know if anyone else here has noticed this, but I've definitely run into issues where when I'm playing through on a certain act, I'll get a whole bunch of exalts to drop, and then I'll just have this massive outage, like a dry spell, where I'll go through, like, Act 2 seems to drop a lot of exalts for some reason, but then Act 3, they're just, I could go through the entire act and maybe only see 1 or 2 drop the whole time.
Forgotten.
It's kind of interesting playing around with this stuff though, and kind of seeing what you know, what you can figure out about the game. Because there's, I mean, even at this point, this has been out for quite a while now, and there's still a lot of things that people just don't know about the game. And then it'll also be interesting to see how much of it changes before the game actually goes live. Yeah, I think they may have over-nerfed the arcane, the Sorc builds a little much. I feel like when I was playing through at this point with my minion witch build, I mean, it was my first playthrough. I had no idea what I was doing, hadn't seen any of the content before or anything, and it just seems like the minion build is significantly more powerful. Not even talking about survivability, but just simply the amount of damage that it dealt. And it's like you would think that a class, you know, like this class has no minions to stop you, you know, enemies from getting to you at all. So you would think this one would have better clearing capability because you need to keep the shit off of you or it's going to kill you. And this just seems like it's so much slower. It may be one of those things where it gets better once you get to a, you know, more of a high-end build or something, but right now it can be a little frustrating trying to play it. I've never been a huge caster fan outside of pet builds either, so normally when I played Diablo, I'd always play like Barbarian or Monk or, you know, something like that, so.
Scum!
Yeah, not getting comfortable thing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because you never know when anything is going to change in an early access. You know, like they could have had this grand plan for how they were going to do everything, and then once it actually rolls out to players, if players aren't enjoying it, then they have to go through and make changes. Which is, it's one of those things that it's kind of difficult in some cases to make good new games because of the number of people that just get mad when things aren't what they expect them to be. You know, like the number of people that are completely frustrated with this game because it's not Path of Exile 1. And it's like, well, it's Path of Exile 2. It's not the first one. It's like, this is a different game. You should expect different things out of it. That level's getting up there. Like I said, I would really like to
Pitiful one.
really like to level one more time to get that other big node and see if it does a decent increase in damage. Yeah, expectation's a big problem with a lot of people. It's almost like people are more resistant to change now than what they used to be, because, like, you know, back in the day when a new game came out, like, people just wanted to play it. They just wanted to play the new game. Yeah, it looks like Warfrin's having a little problems with the build as well. He's trying to transition to the mapping part of the build. but he's getting a little screwed when he's trying to switch out some of the gear. Alright, so we got the boss here. You know, I'll pop back over here and see if I can find some more enemies. I may actually go and re-clear the first area of this just to finish up those last couple of bars of XP, and then that way if I happen to die on the boss, I don't really lose anything. So that would actually have more enemies in it, but it did not. Yeah, I should have been gone long enough at this point that this side has reset. Kind of sad to say, but when you hit some of those oh wow, my little follower dude's not with me this time, so this technically could be a lot harder. Like they followed me to the first train, or they were here for the first train, and then when you zone through they follow you to the second one, but then they won't follow you back, so anything I kill here will have to be completely solo. And, even though that little follower is not super helpful, it does kind of body block some of the tighter little walkways, little paths, and things like that. That reminds me, I still need to update my my loot filter. I haven't updated it in quite some time at this point.
Die, scum! Didn't break a sweat.
One of the things that's kind of I don't like about this particular build is there's so many different skills that you need to cast just to do damage. You know, you gotta throw down your lightning orb here, and then you want to cast conductivity to do more damage with that, and then you want to hit mana tempest to do more damage with that. And it's like just a whole bunch of skills that you gotta pop before you even start attacking. And it's just like, it just feels like such a downtime, and it gives things so much time to run up on you. Like at least with the lightning orb, you can kind of drop that on the ground before, or like you can drop it behind you and run back to it if things are coming at you. But I don't know, it's just, I just don't like the way it plays because of that. This Freezar is not great on this thing either. Try to drop conductivity on the ground, and it just kind of like
Victory is
out
mine.
of it real quick, which is annoying.
Quickly.
Something to blow up all the corpses. Sometimes it feels like there's a bit of a, almost like a global cooldown from World of Warcraft, where if you were just casting something, sometimes I'll like left click to drop an orb and it won't drop it. You know, it's like it can't for some reason. I don't know what causes that, but it's a little annoying. This game game doesn't really have global cooldowns, at least not visually, so I don't think that's necessarily exactly what's going on here, but it's just kind of what that makes me feel like. You find that people aren't resistant to change when it's something that's faster or more efficient than what it was before. Yeah, that's actually kind of an interesting concept as well. Is it's like, to me, gaming has always been something about, you know, like eating up your time. It's like doing something to, you know, to just sit back and enjoy and have a good time with it. And it's like, it seems like today people, they always want new games to have less and less to them. It's like, I know people that just straight up won't play like 80 or 100 hour games anymore because they're like, oh, it's just too much time. But then they'll sit down and play like 10, 20 hour games back to back. It's like, you just spent 200 hours playing games. Why does it matter if it was 10 games or 2 games? It's like, you know, I personally like games that have a lot more playtime out of them, so that I feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of it. It's like, you know, when you're spending as much as $80 on a game, you know, at this point, it's a little ridiculous for that to only be like a 20 or 30 hour campaign. It's like, make it lengthy. I want to have fun with it. But yeah, it's like everything about gaming now is just all about optimization. It's like that was one of the things that I was actually kind of most interested in this game, was where they were talking about trying to slow the pace down a little bit for the game, because it blew my mind the number of people that not only do they want to optimize their own gameplay, but when they see you doing something that isn't as optimized as what they do, they either want to try to educate you on how to become more optimized, or they want to call you an idiot for playing the game the way that you want to play. And it's like, you know, because like in Path of Exile 1, most of the time I didn't play super fast classes. I liked going around and killing everything in the map and opening a bunch of the, you know, the boxes and stuff like that. You know, I liked having fun with it. And then people would get mad because I wasn't playing, you know, super lightning speed classes, and they're like, oh, you're stupid, you don't know how to play this game. And I'm like, nah, I know how to play it just fine. I'm playing it the way that I want to play it, not the way that you want to play it. It's like I think it's kind of stupid when people want to be highly optimized and make all this currency, you know, just collect up hundreds of divine orbs to then have it all shipped to the eternal realm because the season ended, and then they go play another season. It's like, why are you wasting your life away playing a game, collecting shit tons of currencies, just to put them in a vault that you will literally never use and probably don't even go look at? It's like, you know, so it's like, I'm fine with everybody playing the, you know, the games differently, the way that they want to play them. It's just really funny how everybody else seems to get so aggressive when you don't play the way they play. Yeah, I mean, I don't want a game to, you know, to feel like I'm never going to finish it. There was a game that I played. It was I don't know if you've ever heard about any of the Dynasty Warriors games and stuff like that from a while back. They still make them. They're just not quite as plentiful as they were in like the Xbox 360 era and PlayStation 3 and stuff like that. But there was one particular game from that series called Warriors Orochi 2, and like I said previously, I was and still am a fairly big achievement whore when it comes to playing games. I like to pop achievements on Xbox games, specifically Xbox. I limit it to that. I don't care about Steam achievements. There's just too many, and like the amount of achievements that they put in them are nuts. But yeah, they've got a new Dynasty Warriors game coming out. It's called Dynasty Warriors Origins. I don't know a lot about it yet, but I'm under the impression they're supposed to be changing the formula quite a bit from what the previous ones were like. So we'll see if that's any good. I still enjoy those games, but I kind of had the same problem with them that I had with the original Lego games, or with Lego games in general. When the Lego games first came out, they were super short games and they were pretty inexpensive. I think they were, on average, they were like $30 to buy a Lego game. And they were a lot of fun to play, and they were pretty quick to play through them. They didn't have a shit ton of content, but that's not really the kind of game I want a ton of content from. It's like, it's not a gripping story. It's not like, oh my God, this is the most amazing graphics in any game that's ever been created, or stuff like that. So I wasn't super concerned with it, with the having a crazy amount of time to play in that game. But it was one of those things where they were fun to play at the point that they were at, and then for whatever reason the company decided, oh well, we need to make our games have more to them. Like, people need to get more bang for their buck, so they popped them up to $60 games, and then they just added crap loads of filler, and they weren't as fun, and you couldn't complete them as quickly anymore, and then you started getting bored of them because there's just too much repetition in Lego games, and the longer that they made them, the more you would get bored with them. And like the most recent Star Wars Lego one that they did, I've still yet to ever finish that, because it's too many fucking hours for a game that doesn't have more depth to it than what a Lego game does. And Dynasty Warriors were kind of the same thing. Like, they're really fun to sit down and play in kind of like an arcadey atmosphere, but it's not something you just want to play forever. And that Warriors Orochi game that I played, it had one of the most insane achievement lists that I've ever seen in an Xbox game before. And I mean, it was just hundreds of hours to complete that. And I was so sick of that game by the time I finished it.
You again. The fool under the hooded one's sway. Do you even know what he is? No matter. You'll find my king far more capable than Count Geodor.
I definitely understand the concept of not wanting a game that it doesn't feel like you'll ever finish.
Ah, the Sekmar Yardura. Bow before your king.
The Medicats do not bow to kings. We skin them. Submit! You are finished!
The era of the Faradun is now!
This boss really sucks to try to fight.
For my people!
That didn't last long.
Frosty! Vengeance!
Bunch of little bitty tiny enemies there.
For my people! The Manakat will pay! The era of the Faradun is now! We repay hate in kind! The Manakat will pay!
That was not what I was expecting that to do. It's been a while since I fought this guy. I forgot how he works.
The era of the Faradun is for my people! The Manakat will pay! The era of the Faradun is now! Nothing matters now but the beast. Go!
Got into the next phase, I guess.
I don't have time for this! Sands, bend to my will!
Yeah, the Dynasty Warriors game was
Impede my
insanely,
enemies!
they were insanely grindy.
To me! gift to you. Take our hate! I call the winds. Forge of hate. The era of the Faradun is now!
Or, you know, just not dodge at all. Just, why would I? These whirlwinds really suck. And they seem to always, like, follow you, too, which is the annoying part.
To you!
It's like they're not just random. It's like, now they're coming after you.
We will blot out the sun! I will grind you into dust!
This arena's starting to get really full of
you. We will blot out the sun!
There we go.
10,000 spears! Our gift to you! I will erase you! The era of the Faradun is now! 10,000 spears! Wings to me! Take our hate! Thousand spears! Take our hate! I will grind you into dust! Our gift to you!
Oh, good grief.
I call the winds!
Really? You didn't call a fucking wind right on top of me. There we go.
Our gift to you!
This isn't an annoying boss fight at all, and it took nowhere near this long to kill with the
Into
Inferno.
dust!
This is so ridiculous.
Die! Ulasakama!
Asala. This is not over. Not yet. Shamandra! I return you to the embrace of death!
Yeah, that was an insanely long fight
done.
with this class. Hey, got an Exalt
A
out
rare
of it.
treasure.
So Hensel, what have you been doing over the last week? Just been playing
Who
Path
goes
of
there?
Exile, or just getting anything else?
What? Do not wander.
worst fear.
Come now, Shade. Share your truth with me.
You're right.
Alright, I just want you to identify my crap. I don't care about all this.
I am. It was I who created all I can. But while there,
The husband of Garukhan.
what have you learned?
Oh, you've still been doing a lot of Balatro? How's that been going? Still enjoying it? Plus 1 all level on melee skills and an energy shield. I don't know if I know of any energy shield melee characters. It's not very good.
Speak up.
Yeah, sadly I still need that spirit. It's such a low level item. Yeah, we've been doing the playthrough of Pal World, but we're getting pretty close to being done with that. And I think the next game that we'll probably end up getting into is we may actually go back and do Conan Exiles. Haven't played that in a very long time at
No
this
need
point.
to rush. I shall put this to use.
Looks like they've
Goodbye.
actually done some decent improvements to the game. That was one of those companies that they decided to take like we were playing the crap out of it, absolutely loved the game, and then the company decided to take a different direction and cater more to PvP players than the PvE players, and absolutely just butchered the game for PvE content. And we just quit playing it, haven't played it for years at this point. And then it looks like they finally realized that they made a big mistake and shouldn't discount a huge chunk of their audience, and they're actually
The war, return with me.
it appears that they have fixed the problem. So since we already own the game, we're not really out anything if we go back and try it again. But yeah, it seems like they made a lot of good improvements for it, so probably going to get into playing that, and that will, by the time, I figure we'll, wait, why is some random person sending me a party invite? I'm figuring by the time we get finished with Pal World, it'll probably be another week on that, and then we'll get into playing Conan Exiles, which has a lot more content to it. That'll probably end up being what we play until Monster Hunter Wild comes out. I'll still filter this game in from time to time on stream and whatnot. All right.
Welcome.
Time to move on.
Yes. Until
Let's
then.
go to the swamp.
The beast has grown too powerful. We can no longer contain it through mortal means. There was once an empire that embraced corruption. They studied it, mastered it, and became the greatest civilization the world has ever known. But it led to their destruction. Our allies will continue the pursuit of the beast, but we shall undertake a different search. We must go to the ruins of the Val Empire, in search of a weapon against the coming cataclysm. hostile is close.
Yeah, that could be pretty good, actually. I'm back and forth with Dying Light. It's like, so many things about Dying Light I think are phenomenal. I absolutely love a lot of the stuff in that game, but then I also really, really hate how they put all the time trials in the games. Like, I despise time trials in games. So like all those agility trials where they want you to run some random, it's like, you know, it's like a thing that they add to the game that has nothing to do with the game, but has something to do with your ability to progress in the game. You know, it's tied to your character progression or, you know, something along those lines. It's like, I always hated those kinds of things, just in games in general. It's like, if I'm playing a zombie game, I want to do zombie survival stuff, not, you know, run freaking time trials. It's just not a thing I've ever really enjoyed. I love how creatures on this map kind of spawn out in the water and then come up onto land. It's like, this is probably one of my most favorite tile sets that they've had in the game so far. But yeah, I love playing through Dying Light. I played the first one and the second one both and beat them. A lot of fun, really cool game. So I hadn't actually looked into their, I'm assuming Dying Light the Beast, is that going to be an expansion for Dying Light 2, or is it actually going to be its own standalone game at this point? I think it's getting close to time for them to be making another one. Oh, it is a standalone? Okay, that's cool. Is it going to be the similar style of game, or are they doing some sort of a spin-off system? Yeah, the first game was really, really good. The second one was basically just more of the first, which is good to an extent, but they didn't really... They added a couple of new things that I don't think were in the first one, which were basically these buildings that you could try to like completely stealth through. You would want to go there. If you went there at night, the things were like insane because everything was awake, and it was just like insanely hectic to try to clear through it at that during the nighttime. But if you went in the day when everything was kind of like asleep or you know, in a non-hostile mood, then it became just like a stealth portion of the game that you would try to sneak through, and you could take out, you know, you could take the enemies out with stealth kills and stuff, and it wouldn't wake the rest of them up. But it gave you just that right level of anxiety when you were playing through it. I really enjoyed that aspect, and I don't recall that being directly a thing in the first one. Yeah, actually, you've got me kind of curious what this is about now. I'll look at this real quick. Oh, interesting. This looks like it's going to be... Well, maybe not. I was going to say, it looks like it's going to be a lot different than the first one, than the first two, but no, it's looking more like it. Huh. Yeah, this could be kind of cool. Coming soon, no official date on it, I guess. Throw that up on my wish list and may check that out when it pops back in, or when they start releasing more info about it.
Pathetic.
Yeah, the second one, they did, like I said, they really went deep in on the little like time trial things, which I think personally I just feel like they take away from the game. And the DLCs that they did for the second one weren't really that great. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with them going in a slightly different direction, trying to take it back to more like what the first one was like. It's been a while since I've played the second one. I can't remember if I think they may have actually even given you access to a lot of abilities and stuff at the beginning. So the game, you know, because like the concept was it's like, oh, well, this is the second one and people don't want to be set back. So you got a lot of the abilities right out of the gate that you had towards the end of the first game. And so it just made it it didn't really feel like it was difficult. I don't know, it didn't have the same like anxiety level when playing in the open world. I really liked the Dead Island games. I actually had a really good time with all three of those. Yeah, yeah. I actually really enjoy zombie games just in general as a rule.
I fear not your corpses.
Crap, this guy's all about summoning the minion armies.
Fall before me.
See, this is the thing about this build, like, one of the reasons that I wanted to play this is it was supposed to be so good at, like, clearing the screen, but it's like, this just isn't doing anything. Like, the boss is better at clearing the screen than I am. Look at this, these ads that he's summoning just have like an insane amount of health or something. Yeah, this character kills way slower than my Infernalist did.
I am victorious again.
I'm really looking forward to State of Decay 2, or 3, sorry, not 2, 3. Vane. Okay, I'll have to check that out. You said it's early access made by 2 people? No, that's actually not too bad looking for just being made by 2 people. Yeah, that's not a bad way to go. That's actually what I had considered doing with the game that I'm working on. Once I get a little more finished with it, releasing like a demo for it and just leaving that as something for people to play until
Die, scum!
I feel like it's in a better position.
There is power in this object.
Oh, there we go.
I can
Level
feel it.
9 gems now. Oh, wow, conductivity, I never even leveled that up. That's definitely doing more damage. I'd like to get a slightly better weapon that gave, you know, some more pluses to lightning skills. I think would help a lot. Yeah. Hopefully it'll end up being good. Like I said, it looks like it looks really good considering that it's only made by 2 people. I hope it doesn't end up falling into that, you know, that kind of like Unreal 5 window where people are, you know, people make really nice looking stuff, but then the game ends up being garbage. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some little bit of gambling with the money. The problem that I'm having with it though is so they have I didn't realize this originally because I wasn't having to do it as much, but they have a limit on how much you can gamble in this game. So you can only do the gambling to a certain number, and then you have to go back out and kill rares and stuff to get more purchases back. So it's like I find that to be really frustrating. Oh, weapon skills? Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yep.
Fall before me. Tribal savages. Cursed jungle.
Ah. You guys suck.
Victory is mine.
Looks like a dead end over there. Yeah, I'm hoping that State of Decay 3 ends up being really good. The first one was a really amazing game. The second one had tons of problems when it first came out because of where they were trying to add multiplayer to it and stuff, and it had just horrendous netcode. But they did eventually get it into a really good point, you know, where it was very playable and the game was a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do with a new one now that they, you know, they understand what they're doing a little better and can focus more on the game itself and less on trying to make multiplayer work. Actually, I think one of the guys that was from the WoW, that's in the WoW guild, is wanting to play State of Decay 2 again before the third one comes out. I would still like to kind of do that again myself. I thought it was a really fun game. Yeah, it's I really like State of Decay's concept of how it has a lot of bases that are all over the map, and you can just kind of go claim one, and then you start building it up, and you know, can build different various types of buildings and stuff in it. I really want to play a game that's like that, that has more I guess, freedom in building the bases, because that's the problem with State of Decay is all the base locations are set. So you just have to go find this predetermined place, and then you can build a base there. And I would rather it be more like you can just build a base anywhere, as opposed to specifically, you know, one of their predetermined locations.
You're the one, not all.
Fire spells, it's only +1 though.
Some pretty my tribe could use.
Actually, I think my the one that I have right now is only +1, but it's lightning. There's a +2 for fire, so maybe I can actually start finding some +2 stuff. Wait. Yeah, +1 to all level of lightning, and 41% increased lightning damage, which is really nice. Yeah, Sons of the Forest is one that I've been wanting to check out as well. I've never played that one.
Clever.
Gregory Trenowith.
Huh. If I ever knew that was there.
Hey, a daring explorer after my own heart.
Yeah, see, down here was the thing I was talking about on the how it limits you. It is up to like 40 of them now, which is nice, but every time you buy something, that number drops, and when you hit 0, you can't buy anymore. All spell skills? Wow, that's nice. Mana regen's good on that. Chaos skills, yeah.
Maybe. Good luck.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good. It's definitely one that I want to check out. A couple of the guys that I played WoW with previously have played it and said that they really enjoyed it.
Take your time. I'll take it. Keep your eyes sharp.
Hello there.
Fire spells. Chaos spells. It is not wanting to give me any lightning anything.
Hey, a daring explorer after my own heart. Oh, that's quite pretty. Bye.
Yes.
And I am almost out of gambling attempts, I think. They go really fast. Are you talking about the forest?
Hello. Care to take a chance?
18 left. Man. Not getting any good rolls on this
Plenty of
stuff.
choices.
And that's it.
Let me take that off your hands.
All physical spells.
Let me take that off your hands.
Oh, +2 of all spell skills. That's not bad. May have to see about rolling some stuff on that, seeing if I can get anything decent to
Not
pop
until
on it.
next time.
Let's see. 33% increased spell damage. That's not bad. Mana per enemy kill.
What do you need?
Does this one have any int on it? No. Okay, that's good at least. Yeah, 51% increased shock chance and 41% increased lightning damage is pretty nuts for this. It's like that's going to be hard to replace just for a +1 to skills.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah, I've known a lot of people that have played the Forest as well, and they that one's always been one that they thought was okay. But I normally play a lot of survival games with Nell. She talks more in the Twitch side of things, but she's not a big fan of zombies, so she generally won't play zombie games. And so I've been trying to slowly convince her to play the Forest or Sons of the Forest at some point, just to kind of check it out, because it's technically not zombies. It's, you know, there's like cannibals, so it's not quite the same thing. But I'm gonna step away again for a minute, and I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. I'm gonna run some more ads for Twitch so people can get in without getting assaulted by pre-rolls, and I can get up and stretch for a moment. So I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. All right, we're back. And it looks like the microphone's actually working this time. And yeah, I've heard that
Hello there.
Sons of the Forest can be a little on the spooky side, which is cool. I mean, anxiety in survival games is always fun.
Yes?
If I can manage to pull up a decent weapon of some sort.
Be wary.
What's the kind of wand I'm wearing right now? Cycling wand. Find one that's got a E in it somewhere. Wow. Most of this stuff is insanely high item level. Huh. It's really funny, the stuff that people put up sometimes. Like somebody's got this insanely, I mean, it's not a bad wand, but it's the only one of its kind up, and they want 60 exalts for it, but it's a level like 35 item. It's like that. Why would you pay 60 exalts for something that most likely you would not have 60 exalts at this point in playing through the game? Let's see. I think Jungle Ruins is where I wanted to go, right? Oh, Payday 2. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see what that one looks like. I was not a fan of Payday, to be quite honest. I had a friend of mine that really wanted me to get into that game. But, I just, like, I tried. He even bought a copy of it for me. Well, I guess technically he didn't buy a copy. He had gotten a Humble Bundle, and it had a copy in there, and he already owned it, so he gave me the copy from his Humble Bundle, and he just tried to get me to play it, and I played it a handful of times, but I just couldn't get into it. Something about the way the game felt.
Oh no.
Like I'm pretty particular about playing games, and if they have a weird feel to them, I just don't like them, which is the main reason that I'm not a fan of Left 4 Dead. I just don't like the way the game feels. And I think we had kind of discussed that previously, but yeah. So yeah, I'd have to see how that one's gonna turn out. Maybe play a demo or something of it. What? Somebody actually wants to buy something? They really need to make it like they used to have it in Path of Exile 1. Like, I don't think this was too much out of the ordinary, but I'm pretty sure that previously you could go back to your hideout from anywhere in the game. Like, you just open map and click the hideout button and it would just take you there. Another one of those dudes that didn't want to come to get the trade. What the hell is this item? Oh, there it is. I want to go. Just gonna dump this item in here for now. I need to figure out what level it is. I put it up for trade and I got a ton of messages on it originally, and then I raised the price on it, and then people stopped messaging me about it. But it was a really nice weapon for this build. Yeah. Take it easy, Hensel. We'll catch you next time. Hey, what's going on, Warford? Trying to figure out what I did with that staff that I had put up to sale a while back. And I got a lot of interest in it. It had like +3 or 4 to lightning abilities. There it is. Level 72. It's going to be a while before I can do that. Got into my first pass of Act 3 here, so.
We've been evil in the shadows, my friend.
This build kills really slow, Warfare, and I don't know if you've been running into similar issues with it, but it is super slow for like bosses and stuff.
Wild beast!
I'm just hoping that right now that the problem that I'm having is just like gear. You know, 'cause my gear was pretty crap, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to pick up new stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that's what my problem is, that I just need to rebalance the gear out some. But I picked up the belt, and I forget what the other thing was that looked like it was pretty important for the build. The gloves, yeah, the belt and the gloves I picked up. Everything else is just kind of meh. I have a 1. really not. Oh, wow. Just got one shot by that dude. He didn't track properly on that ability, and it was a little weird. The one that I have right now has got 51% increased chance to shock with 41% increased lightning damage and +1 to all lightning spells. So it's actually not a bad wand. The +3 on the life sprig, or on the life sprig, isn't too bad though. That's kind of what I'm trying to decide. Is it better to have, like, is the 41% extra lightning damage better, or is 2 more levels to all lightning skills better? I wish they had a system that you could, where you could hold like control and click an item, and it would essentially put it on for you so that you could see how your stats would change. Yeah. I think I have a couple of life sprigs myself. I think they're all basically the same stats. So I'll check it out here in a minute. Oh, look, an army of bugs.
Sands, take you!
Oh, the sapphire could be nice. I'm in kind of a little bit of a catch-22 with my with the robe that I'm wearing right now, because I don't have enough spirit right now to be able to keep all the stuff on that I need to keep on, and I have spirit on the robe, so I need to find another spirit upgrade somewhere. The robe that I've got is pretty crappy at this point. I don't even want to put exalts into trying to upgrade it. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few decent things laying in my bank as well. I just can't do anything with it because it's all too high level.
Wild beast!
Man, I hate this Shroud Walker. That's like I always feel like I'm taking damage in the smoke. I don't think you actually take damage from it. It's just a little unnerving. So have you've been having some problems going through the changeover to mapping, or how's that been working for you? Because you were saying earlier that you were trying to switch out some gear, where it was causing you some problems. Oh, okay. That's not too bad then.
Sans have you!
Yeah, my big concern about this, the whole thing is now that Grinding Gears is, going to be getting back in office, the past handful of weeks was a really good time to kind of play around with stuff. But now that they're back in office, like, you have any moment you could be getting big nerfs incoming and stuff, and it's just kind of like,
Victory is mine!
Hopefully they're done doing the nerfs for a little while and they'll be focusing more on buffing some of the lower end classes at this point. It's kind of one of the things I'm hoping for. I don't like it when they nerf classes in the middle of a season. It's really bad feeling. They spend all this time collecting up all this gear, tons of resources and stuff, and then they're just like, oh yeah, sorry, but you're getting nerfed. Fortunately, this class has already been nerfed once, so hopefully less likely that it will happen again.
Hello there. Another day, another treasure.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I wasn't playing a class that had a huge nerf on it, so I don't have a whole lot of massive complaints, but I also don't have any insight to what it was like for people that were playing the builds previously and then got the shit nerfed out of them. Because a lot of people were really upset about the nerfs that went through because they didn't get a free respec with it or anything, and it's like, oh well, the build I'm using now can't kill anything, and I was blowing all my gold on doing random rolls trying to get gear, and I don't have the gold to do a respec now, and they were pretty upset by that. I personally think, especially in early access, it's like every time you do any sort of a major switch or nerf or anything like that, you should just give free respecs out. Jesus, man, these things hit so damn hard. It's like this poison these snake guys here is crazy.
Have you?
Are you still feeling like there's no need for a chaos resist as this build, or are you a different opinion of that now that you're in maps? Because I know that was something you said when you first started, that it didn't seem like this build needed chaos resist much. Oh, you do chaos inoculation? Okay.
The Auroch, that for all their brutality, the Auroch live in harmony with the forces
What's
of nature.
your thoughts on having to
they have no choice
to do stuff like casting all the different spells and stuff you have to cast before you can get into
better to live with nature
casting Arc Bolt? Like, how do you feel about that setup? As far as, like, I guess depending on how exactly you did your build, you know, you have conductivity that you're casting, Orb of Storms, potentially Mana Tempest, and it's like it's a lot of different spells to have to cast before you can actually start doing damage. Are you having similar issues at higher level, or did it get a little bit more streamlined for what you cast? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, only having to cast one extra ability is not too bad, but it was where I was getting up to like 3. I'm like, this is getting a little ridiculous when trying to fight stuff and not die. It's like stuff would just run up on you so fast. Seem to have lost the monkey.
Will of the Marrakech.
Oh, there's a fire resistant guy. I was just saying earlier how I felt like I was seeing the lightning resistance all the time, but not any of the other resists very frequently. Jesus, just getting knocked around all the time is so annoying. Come on, stop knocking me into attacks, you motherfuckers. Man, that shit is really annoying. They have got to do something about that. I mean, just fucking catching your character and taking you halfway around the fucking map. I mean, that's just stupid.
What is worse? Snake?
What did you not
Or
understand about it?
scorpions?
Like how you're supposed to stand in it to get it to do more casts? Does it like duplicate your abilities? Wow. Fucking Christ, man. Yeah, this character is awful to play. Like this has been a very poor playthrough so far. Like this character is it's fucking rice paper. But yeah, it's actually kind of funny. I was talking about that earlier. I had a similar experience when I originally created this character in the first week of launch, and up through like level 20 or so, I didn't understand how orb worked. I was just dropping it on stuff. I just thought it was just like a, you know, an in-place dot, you know, almost like a totem or something. And I would just drop it all the time and thinking it was doing damage. It's like it wasn't doing shit. The belt is? Why? What makes you say that? Oh, this one? I mean, it's not great, but I mean, it's 10 to all resists, and I mean, there's not a whole lot else out there that's really phenomenal.
Die, scum!
Yeah. For some reason, I was really expecting to get jumped there. Yeah, the belt's not really doing anything great, but like I said, there's just not much else that's out there that's all that phenomenal either. Trying to buy stuff at this level is not great. I need to figure out some survivability with this. I think that's the biggest problem that I'm having right now, is I need to be able to take more hits so that I can just kind of stand there and cast a little bit. I need to look through the trees some more and see if I have better places that I can be spending points. Do I even have any other skills that I need to level? That's pretty much it, I think. No, I haven't been using Flame Wall. I probably should consider it. I'm when I've been playing the witch build, you like nerf the shit out of Flame Wall, so it basically does no damage. And so I'm just used to it being like a thing that you cast to make something else work. But it's probably actually not a bad spell if you don't have the shit nerfed out of it. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. I didn't think about the sparks going through the flame wall. That's a good call. Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm not going to be streaming super late tonight, so I'll have time to check it out.
You are nothing!
Orphan, did you see, I'm sure you did, but just checking, did you see the big announcement from Zuckerberg? Oh yeah, I guess it is getting kind of late for you, actually. Yeah, just like getting out of the fact checking and almost kind of pretending like it wasn't their responsibility to make sure their fact checkers were actually checking facts and not political agendas. I just thought it was funny when they were doing the interview. They were like, yeah, we felt like the fact checkers weren't really doing their job, and they were like, what do you mean? What do you mean them? It's like, aren't they you? But yeah, overall, I think it's probably a step in the right direction. Whether they were doing it for the best reasons or not, it should be an overall improvement.
Sans have you.
But yeah, have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping in and chatting some. Seems like this character is going to get to the point to where it's going to require a whole lot of different things that you're casting, especially if you're doing like flame wall and all that kind of stuff. I'm halfway tempted to pull out a controller and try that specifically for this class. It's like starting to get into a bunch of button presses, and they're not. I don't exactly like the way that they do their layout for skills. Just need a mouse with more buttons on it. Some of these guys are getting stuck when they come down. They don't quite go far enough to get into a place that has pathing, so they just sit there. Like that dude, he's not coming out. Poison just does so much damage. gonna do whatever I can do to eke out just a little bit more damage, but there's just not much to be had there.
You are nothing.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to spend a little time and try to update a little bit of gear on this character. I really need a robe that has some energy shield on it. As a caster, I have less energy shield and health by a significant portion. That's pretty bad. It is really nice when you get some good shock buildup and everything just kind of sits there convulsing when you pull the crap out of it. God, that noise is so nuts. Having Chaos Inoculation would be pretty huge. I've never actually played a CI build before. Never actually played a ArcSorc build before in Path of Exile, so this is a pretty massive learning curve, trying to get used to the style of play. But hey, that area's cleared out now. Go back and turn this quest in. I think I get some sort of a buff or something when I turn in this quest. Yeah. Mana regenerate, of course. upgrade on glows. Spell damage and critical strike bonus, that's not too bad.
Don't
The only
drink
real
the
problem
water.
is I don't know if I ever actually get to a point to where I'm gonna have all that many dual sockets.
Still alive.
Right here, this is for freeze. I still need one for stun there. Not being immune to stun is it's kind of rough. I'm running out of place for gems. Cold damage, that's unfortunate. I don't think I have anything else good. That wouldn't be too bad. Too low level for it though. Mana regen. Oh, that's not too bad. 9 to all resists. That's a lot of lightning resist. Yeah, probably what I'm wearing is best for now. Let's see. Do I have any of those sprigs? I used to have a few of them. I don't know if I even have any more now. Dude, it doesn't look like I can wear them. Let's see. There we go. Well, leeches 1% of maximum life when you cast a spell. That sucks. Let's see, we probably killed some more stuff in there. Might be able to do some more
Hello.
gambling here.
Care to take a chance?
No? Hmm.
Maybe next.
Specifically uniques, no rares. That sucks.
What do you need? Still alive. Take your time.
Let's do the fire skills. Stunned. There we go.
Charms of the jungle. Don't
We'll take
drink the
that.
water.
Yeah, not too worried about the freeze thing right now. Maybe need it later. I don't know. For now, I think that's good.
How can I advise?
Alright, let's check out this passive skill a little bit. Passive tree. Damage is taken from mana before life. I don't know if that's such a great idea right now. love to get back up to this stuff here. I got a long trip before I get there. At least there is at least one. Got two different jewel socket spots for that. That won't be too bad. I have one good one ready to go. Well, decent one. The minion bonus to minions on there is pointless, but the other three are good for me. Give that one a shot, see what it does. Maybe worth it. Maybe worth less. Hard to say. Got a named to kill in here somewhere that will give me some sort of a permanent upgrade. Maybe it'll be some spirit and I can get rid of this robe that I've got that's worthless. Yeah, this has like basically no energy shield really to it at all. Nothing, alright. Oh, I bet it's that stupid monkey. That's the only name that's in here. I guess as long as you're kind of careful with the fight, this isn't too bad. more damage than I expected it to.
Die, scum!
Annoying.
You should have been more careful.
2 more talent points, I'll take it. Better than the last 2 times I tried to fight him anyways. I didn't actually realize I hadn't found the waterways yet. Which is surprising. I thought that was actually over by the waypoint. Apparently not. Thinking of a different spot. It's actually funny, I haven't had a spirit gem in a while to drop, so I think my my one spirit skill is actually pretty far behind right now, like 3 or maybe even 4 levels behind. How electrocution works. Sometimes I kind of wish with PoE games that whenever you entered an area, that became like the seed for your playthrough for the character you're on, and it would always be the same, even if all the creatures respawn. Like, I wish I could still have the same map, so I would know where I've been, where I need to go. Damage taken from minions first. No wonder he was so hard to kill.
Victory is mine.
His health was just not going down.
Wild beast.
Where the hell is this area that I'm supposed to be going? This is getting annoying. Yeah, swarm tactics, that's a lot of close. Yeah, I am really just not enjoying this this build all that much. I've got to be doing something wrong with it. I don't know what the deal is with it, but this is not fun to play at all. I'm just getting my fucking shit pushed in nonstop. Other than just getting from point A to B faster, I don't even know what the purpose of having faster movement speed on boots are, because all of the enemies are faster than you all of the time. I have yet to find an enemy that can't catch you, even at 35% and 40% increased movement speed. They still catch you.
You
I just want to find the end of
nothing.
this map. forest. Barrens is not where I need to go. I don't know, maybe it is. Check it out here and see what happens. No, okay, yeah, that's good enough.
The ground here is cracked and broken. What lives in these hives?
You have some problems with like a little bit of lag whenever it tries to load like a new voice line.
Wild beast!
Now this should be the one where the waterway is close to the waypoint. Find the waypoint.
Victory is mine.
Yeah, these things suck. There. Oh, it's just a checkpoint. Actually, I wonder if I can step in there and get a... There's a checkpoint close to the zone in here. So one of the things I'm not liking is a lot of these Act 3 maps. The checkpoints, the waypoints are nowhere
I've
near
never
the
seen such
beginning.
beauty. The oases at home lacked such...
Away with you!
back first. There we go. Should be close to here somewhere.
This looks promising. I should ask Alva about this.
I've never seen it. Keep up the search.
There's the waypoint. Alright, one more on. I can get that last node and then we can move off somewhere else on this tree. May go up here and get this jewel socket. There's one or two little things that I can get back here that doesn't necessarily directly affect me a whole lot right now, but better than nothing. But I think that's going to be it for me for tonight, guys. It's been dealing with a lot of stuff outside of streaming here for the last little bit. We've been having
my driver.
pretty big snowstorms and stuff like that here, so it's been a few interesting days. But I'll be back tomorrow night. We'll do some more Path of Exile, and hopefully I'm going to spend a little time researching this evening and seeing if I can figure out how to get a little more performance out of this build at the spot that I'm at right now. So I'm having a little bit more fun playing it. But yeah, we'll see how that goes tomorrow. But that's all I've got for this evening. So I will see you guys the next time. Have a great evening, everyone.